Welcome back to Rebuilding WoW in Unity. This is Devlog number 7, and this week has been a big one. The world now feels properly alive. We've got creatures and NPCs rendering as real animated models instead of the placeholder capsules we had in the last episode. We've got water and other liquids. I've also done some adjustments to the title screen and the character selection screen. And I've also done some refactoring of the streaming pipeline generally, which should hopefully set us up for the project ahead. So let's get to it. So the biggest visual change this week is arguably the character and monster loading. So we now have models and the bones, textures, and even the animations all playing for pretty much all of the entities in the game world. So I think monsters are looking pretty much there. I think there's some that are missing things like particle effects and other bits of lighting, but aside from that, they're mostly intact. So kobolds are looking pretty good, but we've got things like wolves as well. And I remember with the wolves, there was a scaling issue that I wasn't previously supported, so they were like tiny. But yeah, so now we got wolves and even the good old fashioned peon. Um, that being said, I think most, yeah, so you can see over here, these are the Defias, and basically the reason they look like that is because playable races are handled a bit differently in that there's all the customization that goes into a playable race character, so like skin color, hairstyle, all of that, even the equipment that is being currently being worn. So right now what's technically being loaded are these uh, geomorphs, where they're basically everything combined without textures and such. So it's pretty interesting. You've got the blue eyes of the Death Knight, because yeah, that's on there. But yeah, so I think part of next week's work is going to be properly driving this system so that it's representative of whatever it is. So the Defiers should have their red mask and all that good stuff. So yeah, I think from last week it was capsules, and this week we got this. And yeah, you may notice with the player, I've also got animations hooked up just temporarily to this character controller that I will be soon replacing, probably when I get around to implementing more gameplay features. So yeah, that's the model loading and animations. So next up, we've got the waters, like liquids and, in theory, lava and slime as well, although I haven't actually tested it. I've mainly been looking here. They should work the same. But yeah, we got water. So these are basically animated textures that get tinted with a color depending on the zone and whatnot. So I think for Elwyn, it's this sort of blue tint. Um, Although I actually had to adjust the blue a bit because of the rendering differences between the WoW's engine and Unity. So I think this is a bit more turquoise. But yeah, it's there, and although the water's there, swimming isn't. So you've yeah, that will be again probably down to the character controller. But yeah, it's coming along. So So next we've got world game objects. So things like mailboxes, herbalism nodes, treasure chests. They are also appearing in game. Although I don't know about the scale, but yeah, they're in there. Things like campfires, basically anything that's like interactable is considered a game object in at least in AzerothCore terms. So even things like the signposts are considered that as well. So yeah, they helped flesh things out. I think in the last video they were green capsules. So yeah, now they're a thing. So that's game objects, and it wasn't that difficult given we already had model loading. So and they're mostly static. So yeah, that's the game objects. And so there was also improvements to the login screen. I actually got the Wrath of the Lich King login screen working about 90% of the way there. So things like the animation sequence for Syndragosa, as well as the snow effects and the clouds, moving clouds, that was an absolute pain to figure out. I'm not the best at shaders, but yeah, I think AI saved me on that one. So yeah, and that was all whilst preserving the other title screens as well. So Classic is still there, and TBC as well. Also, I got the character backgrounds in place. So on the title screen, we've got all of the different backgrounds that we would expect to see. This was surprisingly tricky, given I mean it's not perfect, but it is quite tricky given a lot of shader work, lighting work. Um, yeah, but I tried my best to match it up as best I can, and so it's here for the character selection, but it's also there for the character creation. And if I change genders, and it will correctly update the model and all that. So that's in. Yeah, one fun fact, I think the Draenei were the only race where I had to manually scale it down. I think all the others I could just have them appear and they would be correctly sized. But the Draenei, I think the male was like so big, I think you could only see up to his chest before he was cut off, and the same for the female model. Yeah, so that's there. And whilst yeah, so I mean, there's I'll probably refine this over time, but I think it just looks a lot nicer than an empty scene in a capsule. So I think that was a win. And yeah, whilst we enter the world, I can mention I swapped out the loading bar. That was pretty fun. It's actually just a Unity slider with different sprites. Also, I think the less glamorous stuff is worth mentioning. So things like the world streaming system got quite a big refactoring this week. So I now have what's considered like it's split into two, where there's a client world streaming pipeline and a server streaming pipeline. So the client streaming pipeline is in charge of effectively driving what the player should be able to see, and that's largely down to their world position, their character's world position. So that drives things like which terrain should we load in and present, and trees and all that sort of stuff as the player's moving. Whereas the server streaming pipeline is more responsible for what live you can think of. So things like monster locations and interactable things like the mailbox, for instance. These are all and player positions, other player positions. These are all fed in at a different time, asynchronously, and so these two pipelines, the client and server pipelines, feed into the streaming system that I have, and yeah, they're both governed by like a visibility radius, which is why off in the distance you won't see anything, but as you move closer, it will start presenting itself. I think right now it just pops in, but I can fade that in when we polish it later. Um, so yeah, that is the streaming pipeline improvements I made. Um, yeah, I think that's what I wanted to cover. Well, that covers everything I wanted to share for this week. Hope you all enjoyed seeing the progress made. And also, I wanted to say thank you for all the support shown in the last video. I enjoyed reading through the comments, and I have been taking notes of suggestions made. I appreciate the feedback, and I hope to keep delivering. See you next week.